Again, we reground ourselves here in our highest values.
Love is the center and foundation of this faith.
Love is the power that holds us together as a community.
As we enter into worship, then, let us open our hearts to the healing power of liberating love.
Because love is not only something we receive, but something we practice in community.
Let fall away all that might distract us from the wholehearted practice of love.
Let us be accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love.
As we continue to listen and learn, to act and grow,
may each unfold in wholeness,
both deeply loving and truly loved.
Come, let us worship together. Opening hymn is number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the morning. Light has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, strong in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Venus our play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's new creation of the new day.
We bid you welcome, who may come with weary spirit seeking rest, who come with hope in your heart, who are seekers of a new faith, who enter this hall as a homecoming. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Youngstown. My name is Sarah Lowry, and I want to extend a special welcome to those of you who are visiting with us for the first or second time. We invite you to take a yellow card on the table by Sharon Wade, to put in your contact information so we can keep in touch, answer your questions, and hopefully you'll come back to visit us again. We invite you to join us after service for coffee and refreshments in this very room, where we will be happy again to answer questions about church activities and programs. We offer religious exploration classes for children and youth. Kathleen Hogue is our Director of Religious Exploration and can answer any questions that you have about UUYO programs for children, youth, and families. I think I heard today is your last day before August? Right. So you came on the right day if you have questions for Kathleen about religious exploration. Once again, welcome to UUYO. A couple of announcements. Prehistoric Religion convenes again this week, July 1st at 7 at the Draft House, where Ryan Strickler will lead a discussion about Druidism. With heavy hearts, I share that longtime UUYO member Al Pierce passed away on June 27th at his daughter's home in Missouri. A memorial service will be held sometime in July, so please keep your eyes and ears open for more information to honor and celebrate Al's life. Information and further details will be shared when they are available, so please join me in keeping the Pierces in our thoughts and hearts. And now it is my pleasure to invite Neil forward to offer our chalice lighting.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. As you can see in our program, chalice lighting this morning, it is not always easy to find love at the center, and it's by Esther Hurlbert. It is not always easy to find love at the center. There's not a set of easy instructions numbered 1 through 7 or even 8. It is not always easy to find love at the center. Today, in Covenant, we celebrate our living tradition, which invites us to take deep breaths of fresh air into the newness of every day, so our minds, our hearts, and spirits will be continually nourished. It is not always easy to find love at the center. So for today, we gather in Covenant to celebrate the reality that love is at the core of our beings, and that love will guide us if we open ourselves to the challenges which love requires of us. May we accept this challenge with dignity and grace. And now that moment we've all been waiting for, greet your neighbor. And please pay deference to those you may not know or who have had any discussions with before.
Don't go away without speaking.
One, two.
Good morning. So this is the last story I'll be bringing you until August, and I made it a really good one. Not that they aren't all good. So this one is called Catalina Welcome. When Catalina was just 5 years old, she and her mommy went to live with Grandma all the way across the country. The trip was long and hard, but they finally made it to Grandma's house. Grandma was very happy to have them come and stay, and almost as happy to have them join her in church the following day. Catalina was special. There were a lot of things that made her special, like her beautiful long hair, her smile, her funny little laugh, and the fact that she was named after her grandma Kathleen and the mountains in Tucson where she was born. Another way she was special was that she had something called autism. The next day, when they got to church, Catalina looked up at a big red brick and white building with a tower and big doors in the front. After they came in through the big double doors, they met some people in an office. She heard them say a funny word she had never heard before: welcome. Catalina wanted to leave and go play somewhere quiet. She covered her ears and looked towards the door. One lady in the office told Mommy and Grandma they could take her down the hall to the playroom. They walked down a long hallway to a room filled with toys. There was an older girl in the playroom who said, "Welcome." Catalina went over to play with her phone and look out of the window. Catalina's grandma taught the children at church, so she had to leave to prepare for class. Catalina's mom needed to fill out some paperwork, so she also left a few minutes later. Catalina was now almost alone, which she liked. She listened to her phone and lined up several of the toys all around the room. Soon, Grandma came back to get her for something she called service. Catalina did not want to leave. As they walked back down the hallway and out to the front of the church, Grandma told Catalina they were going to go into the sanctuary, where they had to be quiet and that she could not play with her phone in the sanctuary. Catalina did not like the sound of that, so she screamed and covered her ears. When she became calm, Grandma put some headphones on her ears so that she would not be bothered by all of the noise from the preparations for the service. When they entered the room, Catalina heard music. It was a man singing and playing the guitar. Catalina squealed, took off her headphones, and smiled. She did not know what the man was singing, but she did know that she liked it and that she had to also play the guitar. She ran up to the man and reached out to play the guitar. No one seemed to be bothered by this except for Grandma. Grandma was worried. What if Catalina hurt the guitar or upset the man? But that is not what happened. The man, whose name was Jeff, said to her, "Welcome, little lady." He let her strum the guitar a few more times and then told her she was welcome to sit down and watch from one of the pews. That is exactly what she did. When her mommy came in a few minutes later, the worship service had already started and Catalina was dancing to the music and making plenty of noise. When the service was over, everyone shook the hand of Jeff and the minister. When it was Mommy, Catalina, and Grandma's turn to shake hands, Catalina was jabbering away in a language that only she knew. Mommy kept trying to get her to be quiet, but Grandma said it was good for her to make noise. Later, during something called coffee hour, everyone went downstairs to a big room for food and drinks, including some cookies even Catalina could eat that did not have milk in them. Catalina ran around the room. She crawled under people. She sat next to and in between people, and sometimes even smiled and laughed at people. No one got mad. No one told her to be quiet. No one told her to be still. Instead, everyone who met her said, "Welcome." The end. I'll never forget that day. So I want to invite everyone to join us in the reading of the covenant. Children can come on up here with me because we're going to be leaving soon after. Somebody got lost. So like I said, this is going to be my last Sunday here till August, but I want all the families to know that there are activities over there to do for the kids. There are even a couple of little Lego sets that they can keep after they put them together. So, yeah, let them, they're going to be in here. They might make a little bit of noise, but hopefully you guys will be welcoming. Okay, so the covenant is in your order of service. Read along with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now we'll sing our children out to their class.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Each month, we share our non-pledged collection with an organization that is involved in making our community and UUYO a better place. We count as one of those organizations. This month, we are sharing with the Minister's Discretionary Fund. This fund supports friends, members, and community members in a variety of ways, including assistance with temporary housing, help with bills, and support for programming that benefits the community. We now receive the offering that sustains the life of this church and our work in Youngstown, the Mahoning Valley, and the wider world.
And now let us soften our gazes or close our eyes and meditate.
Our reading today is titled A Covenant Invites Relationship by Lisa Ward. A covenant is not a definition of a relationship. It is the framework for our relating. A covenant leaves room for chance and change. It is humble toward evolution. It claims, I will abide with you in this common endeavor, be present as best as I can in our becoming. This calls for a level of trust, courage, and sacrifice that needs to be nurtured, renewed, and affirmed on a regular basis. A creed creates a static truth, something that does not incorporate new insights and realities. A covenant is a dance of co-creation, keeping in step with one another in the flow of our lives. A creed seeks uniformity and a unison voice. A covenant seeks harmony and a shared voice. Sometimes we may arrive at a unison, but it is not required. Creed gives authority to the statement. A covenant gives authority to the shared intention. A creed creates an us and them. A covenant invites relationship. A creed is a prescription that must be relied on. A covenant relies on the treasures of a shared truth. The overall trust within this covenant is in the T, capital T truth, something which no one person can fully see, yet something which each and every person can come to know, in glimpses in another story, in epiphanies. Truth is ever changing in our seeking to understand because of our limited perspectives. We grow into a deeper sense of the meaning of all things when we take our journeys seriously, with full heart and mind. The courage within this covenant is in the acceptance and celebration of life, with all its challenges, pain, ironies, and joys. And the sacrifice within this covenant is in the letting go of dogma, of assumptions, of control, and giving over to a greater wisdom which comes to us in bits and pieces. The task of this covenant is to take responsibility for the freedom we espouse. We know we are interconnected, and that what we do creates ripples of hope or despair, of affirmation or negation. What we do with and for one another is powerful and beyond our imagining.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, 'neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share. No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Beautiful. Goosebumpy. Good morning. Welcome. Today's service is special for a few reasons. This is our first Sunday of the service down here in our wonderful chanting hall, which offers us some respite from the intense heat and humidity we've been experiencing the last few weeks. Welcome, and with all the power of the subjunctive, may the temperatures be more than just slightly lower than upstairs. If it is, it's a soup down here. Another reason today's service is special is that we are weaving together a number of themes that I'm not sure we have ever woven together as such. Covenant, right relations, healthy congregation ministry, and our monthly theme, freedom. If that sounds like a vocabulary list, don't worry. There is no test, but we do and will continue to live with these ideas when we are together. Today we have the opportunity to become more aware of them or to think about them in a new way. The word covenant is Latin for come together and practically means a solemn agreement or a deep promise regarding a course of action between parties. It can describe how they will come together. As Lisa Ward told us, covenant is something living that we co-create, in which we seek harmony, in which we invite relationship, in which we explore shared truth. We also heard about how covenant is a challenge to be together in a shared life with all of its challenges, pain, ironies, and joys. As an aside, can you imagine if we only came here when we are at our best? Looked our best, felt our best, weren't sweaty. We come together in the middle of our lives, seeking something. By applying the definition of covenant, it looks like the covenant that we read together is a why covenant. Why do we come together? Well, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another, of course. We think certain ideas and shared values are so sacred that they're worth gathering around. But what our congregational covenant does not cover in detail is how we realize those values in our interactions with one another. What are the guidelines? Where are the guardrails? Especially in times of conflict at both the congregational and interpersonal levels. This is where the concept of right relations come in. Right relations or right relationship can be thought of as relations with one another, the rest of the world, the earth, whatever entity or entities that are right with our values. If we come together around shared values and ideals, what do those shared values and ideals then look like in our relationships with one another? If I covenant to dwell together in peace, what does that actually look like? Probably not dancing on the ceiling and shouting during meditation. But the implications of realizing our values and our relationships with one another are many when you consider all the other contexts within which we interact and why we come here. I've been here since 2011 and have heard a number of reasons that seem to line up with the following. Respite from the world and its challenges. Spiritual growth. Spiritual path for myself or my family. Being together with like-minded people. Coming to get involved with people who share my values. Becoming a better person, or get this one, get better at being a person. In modern internet parlance, you might say better at peopling. The two are kind of distinct, and when somebody pointed that out to me, it was a moment of realization for me, an epiphany. The impact of this intention to be in right relationship with one another is a healthy congregation. When I began working with a team of wonderful congregants to plan how we can support right relationship and therefore a healthy congregation, they agreed that they liked the name based on the impact of right relation, healthy congregation ministry. So what does the healthy congregation ministry team do to help us realize our relationships to one another in terms of our shared values? And these types of teams, whether they're called right relations teams or healthy congregation teams or some other term, exist broadly throughout our tradition. With this is a new ministry for this congregation. Teams everywhere and here are available to consult with if you have a question about relationships, conflicts, need guidance, provide coaching around healthy communications processes that promote mutuality and consent. They offer opportunities for deep listening. They offer safe spaces where people can move toward resolution or restorative processes in conflict. They offer healthy learning experiences for the congregation around conflict and covenant. Likewise, there are a few things that a right relations or healthy congregation ministry don't do. They don't offer mediation between family members or marital issues. They don't offer mediation between congregants and people not bound by the congregation's covenant, which is to say non-congregants. The teams don't offer mediation when a conflict would involve staff, as it is essential that the staff supervisor, in our case the minister, would take lead on a situation like that. And if conflict should involve the minister, the team may offer initial listening, but if intervention is required, would refer the matter to our congregation's regional consultant. Also, these teams are not a substitute for counseling, therapy, or other professional mental health services when it may be needed, but could be supportive of such healthy pursuits. In talking about what a healthy congregation ministry team does, you might notice that the minister's barely mentioned. And it is by design and is standard for right relations or healthy congregation ministries. The minister can and does offer pastoral or spiritual care, but in the context of right relationships, is not also responsible for resolving conflicts. While someone may seek spiritual care or the ministry of the healthy congregation team initially when dealing with conflict or seeking guidance, coaching, or resources, it may become clear that one or another type of ministry is more appropriate. To put it into context, shouldn't our spiritual care specialist be someone who can sit with you when you're working out something confusing or difficult? Are they someone you should be able to ask to sit with you when sharing? So without further ado, it is my deep joy to introduce the members of this congregation's Healthy Congregation Ministry team. They are Neil Edmond, Sarah Lown, Sarah Lowry, and Sharon Stringer. All longtime committed members with deep listening skills and, in my opinion, spiritual maturity and sincere desire for our congregation to be a healthy one. And now, in an order that they would choose, I will invite them to come forward and introduce themselves to the congregation. Who's going to go first? Keep it simple.
Hi again. I heard many of you ask what I've been doing the last 40 years of my life. So for the next hour and a half, I'd like to... I'll take you back about 40 years. I've been in higher education administration most of my professional life. Sometimes I was a computer programmer while I was working on my dissertation. Went to Indiana University in Bloomington and then worked at Kent State as Jan was finishing up her dissertation. So now we're dissertationed out. I've worked at large universities, small colleges for the last 20, well, I actually have been retired for 8 years. Thank you. And 29 years I spent at Westminster College just across the border. Across the border, where there's no walls. But in that, I was a vice president for student affairs, and a lot of different agencies and departments reported under my aegis. Wonderful people to work with, had a lot of opportunity to work with students. Obviously, that was the intensity that brought me great love and joy of my work. But there was a part of my responsibilities that was a little less enjoyable. The code of conduct was under my purview, so I was responsible for all of the hearings and coordinating all of that fun stuff. And later on, I became a Title IX coordinator for the whole college, which is gender equity in athletics. And that's a whole different world. But getting involved in the administrative judicial aspect of life at in a college environment is very structured. It's very cut and dry. You've got a bevy of attorneys with very sharp fangs sitting in hearings. You rarely get a chance to be an advocate of your students as much as you would like to. It was just get this done, get this accomplished, and above all, do no harm, right? And so it got a little frustrating for me, despite the fact that we had professional counselors who could serve as advocates for our students who were involved in whether it was grievances, God forbid, sexual assault, and worse. My role was almost impervious to that. Again, I was the administrator through all of this, and I looked at the faces of the students, I looked at the faces of the professionals who reported to athletics when they were involved in administration, student improprieties, and I just wanted to reach out to them and share a part of my heart and my feelings towards them. So it is so refreshing to be on a team like this with such professional, talented, empathetic people where I can learn from them, and hopefully I can now be an advocate and someone can lend an empathetic and caring ear and heart when people come forward, so we can build a healthy congregation and find love at the center. So that's it. Thank you. Sarah?
Thank you, Neil. Neil brings the expertise to the healthy congregations. As you can tell, he's a bridge builder, he's a problem solver, he's got the universals very well under his belt. And I'm glad to be part of this team, in part because of Neil, but also Sharon and Gary and Sarah and the conversations that I look forward to all of us having. Yesterday, I was tasked, of course, with putting this reflection together, so naturally I was on the couch reading The New Yorker instead, and I came upon this cartoon there where, Mr. Everyman person, could be you, could be me, standing at the pearly gates, and there's St. Peter, and the gates are locked behind him, and St. Peter says to the person, you know that stupid thing that you said when you were 20 at that party, where you left there thinking everybody hated you, which they probably did, and then you couldn't sleep for years and years after you said it? Well, it turns out you were right to be concerned. And I thought, all right, that's me, for sure. And some days I feel like if there's a banana peel anywhere, I will slip on it. If there's a foot in the mouth opportunity, that's me. I will be the one. It's a challenge, having tact. And I meet that challenge every day, and I fail. So I'm heartened that we have this opportunity to learn and grow and build a healthy community together. And I look forward to helping to craft the deliberate steps needed to better manage my relations and to work better with each of you. I've had plenty of training, divinity school, certification in mediation, and a lot of community-wide initiatives. And what I have learned there is that I'm ignorant, that there are no universal solutions for every circumstance. So I am humbled every day by those experiences. And I see that you and I are forging new paths every day. And there might be times when you're dodging people at coffee hour, when somebody approaches you for volunteer activity and you want to scream at them. There may be times when you want to be left alone. There may be times when you feel too alone. All of that is real. And part of being in a healthy community is managing that part of things. I love what Gary said. Here we are together. We're not going to be better people necessarily, but we're going to be better at being people, which is good. And I love what both Neil and Gary talked about. Part of this covenant is being together and working together and bringing our wholeness to the task, warts and all. That's the holy task of the UU community, and I thank you.
Just so we're all aware, we did switch people. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So about 15 years ago, it was the first time that I walked through the Illinois entrance, down those stairs, into Channing Hall. It was just as hot and humid. The floor was just as moist. And I sat in one of these chairs, and even though I was new here at the time, and knew maybe a couple of people, I felt like I came home. I felt like I belonged here. Since then, like Sarah and Neil and Gary, I have committed myself to a career centered on relationship building and cultivating belonging. And I'll say, belonging to UUYO has guided me in this calling to service in my community here at church, throughout the Mahoning Valley, and the wider world. And, common theme, after collecting now almost 2 decades worth of evidence, I have come to the conclusion that, with all seriousness and sincerity, people work, or peopling, is the most challenging work you can do, even more so than, say, quantum physics. An often cited example of the most difficult intellectual pursuit. People, like particles, can be complicated and complex, behaving unpredictably, even when patterns have been identified. Like particles, people are constantly bumping into each other, interacting, reacting, creating energy that needs to be examined. Sometimes the reactions between these particles are magnetic, drawing them closer together, almost fusing. While other times the reactions result in friction, separation, or even repulsion. But even with these opposing forces of convergence and divergence in mind, people work is the most rewarding, transformative, and necessary work to cultivate and sustain a community rooted in love and belonging. Our covenant states that love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. If we are to keep love as the spirit that inspires our actions, interactions, and decisions, we live that love through service, the law that governs and guides us. So it is not only what we do and decide together that adds up. How we act, interact, and make decisions is an equally, if not more, important metric. So the recently convened Healthy Congregation Ministry team was created to serve the congregation by offering support so we can make sure love stays unwavering at the center of everything we do and how we do it. A nucleus, if you will. So we can continue to nourish the community of belonging that attracted me, and probably many of you, here in the first place, and anchors us here still together. So as a church community that regularly recognizes seasons and cycles, we know sometimes we find ourselves in seasons or spaces or situations that nourish us, while others may leave us feeling depleted. The Healthy Congregation Ministry is here so that no one feels that they have to navigate cycles and circumstances alone without support, and especially when they are difficult and potentially painful. Like many others sitting in these chairs, I came to UUYO during a season of transition. I was about to leave the safe, familiar embrace of my college campus and enter the cold, unfamiliar real world, whatever that means. Many of us find our way here through these doors, down those stairs, seated in these chairs when we are in between cycles or seasons, where we find ourselves feeling alone, stumbling, feeling around in the dark, following the sometimes faint, distant light of truth, and seeking the warmth and comfort of community. So I am grateful to have been invited to participate in the Healthy Congregation Ministry to provide support as we circle into and out of each other's orbits, inevitably bumping into each other at various points, and to help us reorient ourselves towards the light of truth and hold love at the center of all of our unique universes. Maybe more importantly, this team's ministry to the congregation offers assurance or reassurance in the one great fact that, you can say it with me if you want, we are loved and never truly alone. And now, Sharon, would you come and close us out?
So it's truly my honor to be part of this entire group, but also of the ministry. And last night was one of those nights I had a little bit of trouble sleeping, and I also came up with what I will read in a minute. And I seem to be somebody, time and time again, I have to be reminded I am the captain of my own ship. And yet, I also want to be genuinely committed and connected to others. And trying to pull those together, well, intellectually I know it, but it has to happen emotionally too. And I will tell you one of the cardinal rules that I have learned over the years, conflict can actually be a huge source of growth. And I'm here to learn with you. I am not above anybody else, and I have been brought to my knees at times with a troubling situation that I wasn't sure how to deal with. So did I mention to you that I have a huge addiction to office supplies? I do. And in that, I have Post-its and big notebooks, so if you ever need one, let me know. But I have a notebook that I turn to periodically with photos of family members, but also sayings that help me to sort of take a step forward and do my best. And that can be a real struggle. So I believe this is Goethe. I will correct myself next week if I'm wrong, but this is one that I have turned to countless times that a mentor also shared with me. And here it goes. I have come to the frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element. It is my personal approach that creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. I possess tremendous power to make life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or hurt, humor or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis is escalated or de-escalated, and a person humanized or dehumanized. If we treat people as they are, we make them worse. If we treat people as they ought to be, we help them become what they are capable of becoming. And I want to say that is a promise that I would like to offer, that so many times in my own life, people saw what was possible and saw that little light in the eyes so that I could become better at what I was attempting to do. And that's something that I think this wonderful team and congregation can do together. It's not always easy, but I am honored to be here to serve on this wonderful committee. So thank you, or team, excuse me. And that's it.
Thank you all. My coming to this congregation, I have 15 different versions of my story, but the one that I think hits the most right now with me is there is a crisis in this neighborhood, and we decided to mount a response, and I needed a space to do it, and the minister did not hesitate to say use Channing Hall, and we did. And I was with not the church at the time, and I had other groups of people coming, but people from this church showed up. So I thought that that was profoundly, showing me who the congregation was. And I wanted to be a part of it. my role in this team is to be supportive of them, connect them with resources, training, individuals, experts. I too can participate in everything, but my special role as a commissioned lay minister gives me ready access to resources, and you'll hear about some of those in a little bit. So all of us today are available after this service. I am sure there's questions, or do you do this, or have you done this before? Or, I have a thing that happened 15 years ago that keeps me up at night, and should I keep staying up at night about it? I'm not the only one. In a myriad of other questions about what it means to have a healthy or healthier congregation and a team to try to ensure that. So right here in Channing Hall in a couple minutes. And of course, we can all be reached out to if we're not present at a given moment. How to get a hold of the team. So in the next week, the team charter and page will be on our church website, and there will be a blurb in the weekly update that should just run perpetually. There will also be pieces in the monthly newsletter from time to time, but especially over this summer and fall. The charter that you'll see published outlines the steps the Healthy Congregation Ministry team can be engaged in, and they can always be approached for a quick chat to set up a more purposeful discussion later. You'll be able to do that by email. You can even email the office. There are also absolutely opportunities for shared learning. And one in particular I want to put out there is what the UU Institute, a website that you can visit just by searching that. They have a course called Covenant Calls Us In. The Why of Behavioral Covenant, and they have a number 109, like it's 100 level. You don't need to know anything else. You can just sit in on this class. We will be engaging in that at some point in the near future. And if you're interested in learning more about it, like I said, you can do a quick web search for that phrase, Covenant Calls Us In, the Why of Behavioral Covenant, or you can look for an update in the weekly update in the near future. If you seem interested in that and would be interested in it, it's an online class, but attending and maybe doing a discussion group afterwards to review what we learn in a given section, let one of us know and we'll schedule with you. I'm hoping that that's something that we can offer later this summer. There are a number of other aspects that have to do with right relations, healthy congregations, centering ourselves on love and one another's spiritual growth and journeys, and it's too much for one service. So this is an ongoing conversation, an ongoing ministry, and it'll come up again, and you'll hear from us again. And I would just like to put out there that one of our goals is to offer a behavioral covenant to the congregation for next year's annual meeting. It's something that we can recommend, but that we can't pass ourselves, nor should the board, in my opinion. It should be adopted by the whole congregation. And so you'll see those materials in the near future. But one more reason to go back to why today's service was unique. There's one more reason today is a special service, in addition to the humidity or lack thereof versus the sanctuary, and bringing out a boatload of concepts and vocabulary terms that we haven't focused on as such before. It's that you were here to witness this. You were here with your presence. Whether you thought about it and decided, or you just bopped on in because this is the place to be on Sunday morning, you were a witness of today's message about how we want to and can be able to support one another in our individual paths of healing and becoming and growing and bumping around into one another and doing restorative work when the bumping was too much. In fact, I don't remember who it was, but somebody told me that this church can be like a game of bumper cars where you're going around really fast and you're not supposed to bump into one another. And then I said, oh yeah, that would be hard because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And they said, well, no, actually, bumper cars, you're not supposed to do that. So you're not supposed to run into people on purpose in bumper cars. Did you know that? tells you something about what I thought that was. So whether you thought hard about coming here or just bopped on in, you witnessed us discussing ways that we could become a healthier community and the people that want to offer that ministry to the congregation. And I think it is deep and profound and love-centered that we have people that want to dedicate their time, energy, experience, wisdom to this. So I am humbled by the team and their collective experience, and they're here to ask questions of and schedule something if you'd like to talk to them offline, so to speak. So I thank you for your presence here today. Let us pray. Spirit of love, may we seek the truth and love, knowing how imperfect we in the world are. May we dwell together in peace, despite having none sometimes for ourselves. May we help one another along our paths in healthy ways. May we realize our values in our relationships with one another, the congregation, the world, and ourselves. May it be so. Hymn is number 121. We'll build a land.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come, build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
We extinguish this flame, but never the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, and the humidity that binds us all together. These we keep in our hearts until we are together again.
As you depart, remember the one great truth. You are loved and never truly alone.